Yep.
We'll make a character variable.
That's right.
And that's all, how I remember. Sorry if
And
I missed something.
that's perfectly fine. Yes, you remember quite a lot, not just something. Yeah. So here we will just open our project that we worked on last time. So how do I do that? I go to the file option, right? And then I click on open my existing project. So I'll have to select wherever I've saved that project. So here's my project and I click on open. So at your end, what you have to do is you'll have to start a new project altogether. So what you would do is you go to file, yeah, and then say new code, new program. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and Arpita, you will have to just click on the program section under your file. So here, right, so you'll have to just go to SAS program and you'll come to this window here. Yeah. And one more very important thing to note here is, Arpita, the SAS Studio, which opens up on the browser, that does not have an option wherein automatically saves the progress of your code or your project. Okay, so you will have to, in case you want to save it for your further reference, then you'll have to keep saving it at regular intervals. All right.
One more thing, Uma, yeah, when I was like going through the tutorials from like SAS website,
Uh-huh.
they told me to like set up a library, like some Orion library,
Uh-huh.
and I need to run that code like whenever I'm doing any particular set of code.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to run that code first, and then do like.
Yeah. So that is what we will be checking out today in our session, as to how do we create a user-defined library and how do we access it in our later sessions. Okay, so that we will be covering in today's session. That's absolutely right. You'll have to always run the libname statement before running any other codes. That is for a simple reason that the referencing has to be refreshed. So don't worry about that. We will cover that in our today's session. Okay, and as I told you, so this is how the program part would look like. So before you do anything, it's better to do a save as, so that you have it saved for your further future reference if you require. Otherwise, as it is, we'll be sharing this video as well as the codes at the end of the session. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to remind you that there is no autosave here on SAS Studio, so you'll have to save it. And a similar thing goes with SAS Enterprise Guide also. So it would be good if you save the project. Okay, so let's just quickly revise whatever we had done, and thank you Shashi and Arpita for helping me do that a little prior to this. Yeah. So what we saw is the important windows in SAS. One is the code window or the program window, the log window, the results window. Then we have project tree, process flow, and then the most important part, the servers under libraries under servers, right? So I hope it's pretty clear that the program window or the code window is the location where we write and edit SAS codes, right? And once we run the codes that we have written here, we get the details or the log, that is the errors, warnings or notes pertaining to execution of that code on our log window. And then there is a results sheet where the results of the executed code are processed and displayed. Yeah. And under servers, we have a SAS app under which we have a laundry list of libraries So libraries, when we say there are two types of libraries, one is a permanent library or a temporary library. So a permanent library, what is it? What is a permanent library?
Permanent library is default library wherein once we discuss session, even then your session details are stored in that, so that all the data set created in the permanent library can be accessed thereafter.
Yeah,
Wherein temporary library, you said that's work, it's a typical
yeah,
name,
yeah.
SAS work, and that's more of a limited session-based data storage.
Correct. So what happens is library is nothing but a collection of your data sets, and any data set that you save on a permanent library will be available for you for your for use of it in any further sessions. Whereas data sets saved on a temporary library, Shashi, as you mentioned it rightly, the temporary library here is called as work. So any data set saved on work, you will not be able to access it once you close the session. So it gets deleted automatically. Yeah. So these are the results of our previous run, because I've opened a project that we had used earlier. So let us say it's having the code, the log, and the results of the last run that we did before closing this project. Yeah. So yes, I just clicked on SAS app to show you to get a view of the libraries. So which would have a set of permanent libraries and one temporary library, which is work. Yeah. Okay. And then what we discussed is we briefly discussed what are the two types of so what does SAS dataset look like? So that is when we open one of the, this is a print view anyway. So a SAS dataset would have it is nothing but a tabular structure which has got rows and columns of data, and in SAS the rows of data are called as, yes.
Those are observations.
Yes, rows of data are called as observations and the columns are called as variables. So going ahead, we would refer to them as observations and variables. So in order to know how many columns of are there in any data set or a file, we would say how many variables are there, right? Okay, and then we just did a sneak peek into what are broadly different types of SAS codes. One is a data step and the other is a proc step. So, data step, as we discussed, is typically used for creating and manipulating data sets, whereas a proc step is used for majorly generating reports and running your predefined procedures, which will help you generate a report or import or export certain files. And then we discussed about the coding structure, wherein we said that every line of code would generally begin with a SAS keyword. It would mainly be either a data or a proc, depending on whether you're doing a proc step or a data step. And every line that follows also would have a SAS keyword. And then every line of code ends with a semicolon, and codes a set of codes usually end with a keyword called run or quit. And when you're writing a SAS codes, it's not case sensitive. You can write it in any case. Now, but there are certain things again which are a little case sensitive, which we will see in some time. Okay. So then what we did was we just saw a very simple code wherein we just created a sample data set, and then we did a simple Proc Print procedure. Is that clear?
Yeah, Uma, for this program, I asked one question actually. So, can you just run that program like without work.student details?
Yeah, so no, there is, the syntax goes this. Yeah, you can absolutely. So this code, let me just do this here, Control C, typing it again. Okay, This is what you asked, Arpita?
Yeah, yeah, that is what I asked.
Exactly. So this code is exactly same as this code. Yeah, when it comes to working on it, it is exactly the same thing. So you don't have to specify work.student details because work is the default library that it addresses to. Yeah, but sometimes when you want your data sets to be saved on a permanent library, then yes, you'll have to make a note to specify the lib name, that is the library reference name of whichever library you want to save it on. Okay, so let's just quickly run this so that we can work further ahead on this similar data, on this data set before we do something else. So how are we going to run this code is we're just going to select the entire code that we want to execute, and then the shortcut for it is F3. Use the F3 key and only this part of code will run. Okay, you can try. First of all, before I go ahead, have you written this code on your window right now? No, right?
Not yet. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I'm just pasting it on the uh, chat window. So any further codes you can write it along with me. For now, you can just copy it and paste it on your window, and let's execute it together. So you're copying it at your end, right?
Uh,
No, if it's hard to copy, then you can just type it out because it's not much. It's just like hardly 3-4 lines.
I can't see anything actually in the chat window.
Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I posted it only to Shashi. Or I'll just make it all. I'll just paste it again. Yeah. Can you see something now?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Try copying it. If you can't do that, then you can just type it out. It's hardly anything.
I'm able to copy it. Yeah.
Yeah. So copy it and paste it on your code window, the program editor, and then once you're done with that, we're just going to select it and use F3, or what you can do is go to the run button here and use run selection. Please make sure you're using run selection because we don't want any other code that is there on this program window to be executed as well. So we just want this patch of code to be executed. So use F3 or run selection. So yes, now it's going to take quite a bit of time. Yes. Please let me know once you're done executing the code.
Yeah, I can see the output now.
Oh, it's executed already? That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, at my end it hasn't yet. So, what are the two different data types in SAS?
The characters and the numeric.
Correct. So there are only two types, two data types in SAS, that is character and numeric. And how do you differentiate when you're referring to a variable, whether it's a character variable or numeric variable, is by using a dollar symbol at the end of the variable name, suffixing it with a dollar symbol. Okay. So have you managed to execute it successfully without any errors or warnings?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
mine is
great.
done.
Yeah, so where do you have this data set stored now? In which library do you have it?
Uh, Let me check that.
Yeah, before you check that, by your code, going by your code, it has to be in your work library, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to click on libraries, then go to work and check if the dataset student underscore details is there. If not, then right click on the work library and say refresh.
Okay. No, I can see that it's
Yeah, it's
created.
created. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I can't see any output for my
I think it's still executing. It's probably still running, Arpita, because at my end also the code is still running. Anyways, can you just share your screen with me so that I can take a look?
yeah, sure.
I'm making you the presenter now. Go to the results tab.
Yeah, but
I ran this one first, actually, and then this one.
Okay. You don't have to worry about that libname right now because as of now you're not using it to store any data, so that is okay. That should not create a problem. All right. Go to your log.
It's not showing me error or warnings. This
It has created, it has successfully created. Okay, so what happens is in your SAS EG, it opens up the data set that you've created, opens up automatically. What do you need to do? Go to your libraries. Yeah, here go to your work library. Just minimize this Orion. Go to work. Yeah, minimize that as well. Minimize SAS help. Yeah, open this. Yeah, here you have it. Just double click. So what happens is in SAS EG, once a dataset is copied or created, it just pops it up automatically on your result tab. But in your SAS base also, that does not happen by default. But it is, see, what we did was we just checked your log window, and it's so clearly written there that the dataset has been so and so dataset is created, and it has got so many observations and so many variables. So yeah, so you will have to just check the library. Okay, so is that okay? So we have successfully created the data set. We'll go ahead from here. Let me just take back the control. Yeah. So this was a first simple SAS code wherein we created a data set which has 3 variables and 5 observations, and out of the 3 variables we have one variable which is numeric and the other 2 variables which are character values. Correct? So what we will now be doing is I have a very simple question for both of you. Let's say along with these values, that is the student ID, student name and course. Let me just copy this here. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay, so along with these 3 variables, I want to create one more variable which is like, I would like to call it DOJ, which is nothing but date of joining. I want to know when did any of these students enroll for the course. Correct? So I'm going to enter the dates here. 10/02 2015, right? Okay, let me just put up some random dates here. Yeah. So what have I done? I've just created one more variable called date of joining, which is nothing but I'm naming it as DOJ, and I'm just adding in the values also into the data lines, wherein it will populate the set given values for date of joining. Does this look okay? Yeah, it looks fine. So what we now do is, in case the data output data set is open, please make sure that you close it. And just select this data that you want to create now along with the date values. Just put in some random dates on your code also, and let's execute it, see what happens. Arpita, and one other way to make sure you get a view of the data set that you have created or copied is, at the end of this code, what you can do is you can just write a simple proc print statement. Just write proc print data equal to student details, so that at the end of executing it, you just print the result. Now, so what you could probably do, yes, you can do that. Executed. Shashi, have you executed your end?
Yeah.
So have you got the result?
Well, it's saying it's loading result data.
Okay. So it's still getting loaded.
Well,
Not
it
worries.
is done here, but what I see is just blanks coming over in this DOG column.
So you don't have the values that you have entered in your code. Yeah, but did you get any error?
Well, I'm checking the log window.
Yes, please do.
For me, it's not showing the date which I've just entered.
So it has just created a variable called DOJ, but there are no values in it.
It's saying invalid data for date of joining.
Yeah. So does it look something like my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are just dots, that is a period in every observation for the value of DOJ, right? So Arpita, it looks similar at your end also?
No, I forgot to declare the variable itself, actually, DOJ.
Okay. No problem. So what you can do is you just declare it in your input statement where you've declared the other variables. So I'm on the code window. You can just make a note and just add the values.
So it is
But
not showing the values. It's showing me the column DOJ, but
exactly something like this, right? You have the column DOJ, but there are no values in it.
yeah.
Yeah. So that and then as Shashi mentioned, when we go to the log here, though we don't have any errors, but what it says is at every line it is saying invalid data for date of joining in so and so line. We have a note that we have a similar thing when we look at our summary also. Yeah. So what happened just now is, as we discussed earlier also, there are only two data types in SAS. Correct? One is numeric and the other is character. Correct? So what is happening here is, first of all, what is the data type of DOJ that we have declared in the code? In our input statement, have we declared it as numeric or character?
Numeric.
Numeric.
Yes. Why numeric? Because there is no dollar symbol at the end of it. The way we have it for course. For course, we have a dollar symbol suffixed at the end of the variable name, and similarly for student name also. But for DOJ, we have declared it as a numeric value, first of all, right? And then what we have done is, this is not a numeric value. It is not a pure numeric value, right? It has got a special character into it. So SAS will not understand. SAS cannot figure out that this is a numeric value. So it tries to read a numeric value, then it gets some special characters into it, and it thinks it is a string and it will not read it. Right? So how do you think we can fix this problem?
By
Can we
placing the
declare
dollar.
it as a character variable?
Yes, that is one way we can try doing that. Yeah, what I do is I declare this as a character variable, right? So let's just quickly run, though it will take some time. In the meantime, when it's being executed, you can also do the same change and try running it at your end. What I'm doing is I'm just doing adding a dollar symbol at the end of the variable and rerun the code. So what I used just now is a keyboard shortcut, that is F3, right? So let's see. Okay, in the meantime, once you have made the change and executed the code at your end, I'd like to ask something. Okay, so now what we have done is we have fixed this problem by declaring date of joining as a character value. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one question here. This is perfectly fine as of now. Let's just take this case. Let us say you're working on a data set which has got certain credit card details. Alright. So let's say it's got observations wherein it has got all the credit card holders, the customer details. It has their, the spend trend, what has been their billing for the said month, and when is it due, when is a payment due. You have a variable which has got billing date, then you have payment due date, and then you have the current date. I'm just giving you an example. Let us take a case wherein you have a data set which has got credit card details, customer name, then the billing date and payment date as well as the due date, the payment due date as well as the current date. Correct. And now you're just trying to analyze this. So let's say you have got a list of 100 customers, and out of the 100 customers, you want to check how many customers have are beyond their payment due date. Correct. And if they're beyond, then you would like to compute. Obviously, we always know that there's interest that gets accrued into our bills if you make a late payment. So you want to just check out as okay, how many days due is it? so that you can accordingly revise the bill. Correct. So when I have, what is happening here is we have stored a date value as a string or a character value. So when I save it as a character value, will I be able to find out the difference between two date values, that is today's date and payment due date? Let's say my payment due date was 5th of Feb and today is 10th Feb. So I am late by 5 days. Yeah. To know this, I should be able to find the difference between two given dates.
Not.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, please.
I don't think so. It's possible.
Exactly. So what happens is when you save it as a character, yes, it is being read as a character value, but you will not be able to do any of such computations wherein you will have to use a date value.
Yeah.
Is the problem clear, Arpita?
No, not that much clear.
Okay, don't worry. I will just show it in a very simple way. What I will do is I'll quickly open Excel so that is easier for you to understand.
Well, again, it is showing the truncated form of the date, right? So I think
Exactly. We will come to that as well. Yeah. We will just come to that in a while once we just clear with this. So let's say we have payment due date and we have current date. Okay. And what we are doing with SAS, let us do the same treatment here. Let me save this as a character. So I have 10/02. My payment due date is 5th Feb 2015 and my current date, I'm saving it as a character. Okay, current date as 10 Feb 2015. Okay, and here then put the same thing but as a date value. Okay, so let me just do a very simple thing. I will try to subtract this value from, okay, the Excel is converting it by default.
Excel is
Yeah, the updated versions are,
I think what you do is if you right click that cell,
yeah, exactly.
change the formatting and see.
Yeah, it is in a text format only as of now.
No, come down. There is a
Yeah, format. Yeah. It will show me as a text only. Let's see. Anyways, how code it as text? It is text value. See. Okay, not to worry. So the idea was the thing that I was trying to explain here is Arpita, that when you save it as a date value, as in when you save a date value as a character value, you will not be able to do any mathematical computation on that.
Yeah, I think you want to say that it's 5th Feb
Correct.
2015. That's like so.
Yeah, so if I want to do a mathematical computation, something like this on SAS, I will not be able to get this result of difference as 5 when it is a character value. Only when it is numeric, I will be able to do that. Okay, and as Shashi was mentioning that the date value has also got truncated, we will just take that discussion in just a few minutes from now. Okay, first of all, let us see how we can deal with this. So by just adding in a dollar symbol to it, our problem didn't get resolved entirely. It just got fixed temporarily. So what we have to do is we'll have to make sure that we communicate to SAS in a certain way, wherein we say that this is a number, that is, you have to save it as, but it is not going to appear to you, it might not appear to you as a numeric value. So how are we going to do that? That is where we come to something called as formats. In formats and formats. So this is something which is very important, and it will come, you will end up using it quite frequently also when you're working on any of your codes. Okay, so what is meant by an in format is, it is a syntax which will help SAS understand a particular type of data that it cannot read directly. Okay, so what is meant by that is, in format is yeah, SAS read non-standard. Just make a note of the word that I'm using here, non-standard data into SAS. So what is my standard data? Standard data is something which has just got numeric values or which has got character values. Correct. So this is a non-standard data which is a numeric value, but it has got certain characters into it. Right? So we will have to communicate in a certain fashion to SAS, saying that even if it has got some non-standard data, it has to be read in a certain fashion. So the code that helps us do that is in format. Okay, how do we do that? We will just check that here, and you can just continue writing in the same piece of code. I'm just writing it in a separate set so that it's easier to know the changes that we are making. Alright, so before my data lines, I'm going to specify. So here I've declared my variable in my input statement. Correct? Input statement is a statement where I've declared the variables. I'll take off the dollar symbol because it is going to be a numeric value. But since it is not in the standard format, I'll have to use a in format statement. So how does my in format statement look like? It starts with the keyword in format. Right, and then you have to specify on which variable are you trying to use it. I'm trying to use it on DOJ, which is my date of joining. Correct. And what is the type of in format? Here the way in which I'm writing my date is in the form of DDMMYYY. Correct. So it is DDMMYY. You just write it twice, everything, and then you specify the length of it. So what is the total length of this particular value here? Can anybody help me with it? Just this. Yeah, the length. What is the length of this? Yes, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you will have to take your slashes also into consideration. Okay, it's not just a numeric value. So it is going to be 10 dot, and every in format or a format ends with a period, a dot that I've put here. Is that okay? And then you complete the statement by using a semicolon. So how the syntax for this goes is, you write in format, which is a SAS keyword, and then you write the variable name. That is the variable on which you're trying to, which has got non-standard data and which you want SAS to read. And then you specify the in format. So you don't have to worry about how will you get to know about whether it is a DDMMYY or if it is some other in format, which we'll see a couple of examples now. So you don't have to worry about it. There are certain predefined in formats and formats. You can just go through the list that is there when you're reading through.
Uma,
Okay.
what was the logic behind putting the dot after
That is a format. That is a syntax.
Okay.
Okay, that is how the syntax is. So whenever it sees some value like this with a dot, it understands, okay, this is an in format or a format that I'm going to read. Okay, so it is how the syntax is. Okay, so now let us, so just make it a point that you have deleted the dollar symbol that was there in front of your DOJ earlier. So please make the similar changes, changes in your code at your end.
Uma, I want to ask one question.
Yes, please.
For this DD, shouldn't it be YY like 4 this thing wise?
4 wise, yeah, exactly. So no, that's how it is designed. So it will be only DDMMYY. It will just be 2 of each, and the length is going to determine it. So let us say if we had values like this. So I don't have 20, just have it as /14 /15 /13 or whatever. Then I put it as 8 dot. Okay, so this length is going to determine whether it is going to have here in the form of like 4 digits or 2 digits. Then, I mean, next question would be, how are you so sure it wouldn't take it as 1815, and why would you take it as 2015, and why not 2115? Correct? Right? So we will we will deal with that question a little later, wherein there is something called as, there is a predefined base date in SAS, and how it works. It just keeps a span of 100 years, and if you want to work with dates which are prior or ahead of it, you will have to do some manipulations. We'll deal with that later. Okay, don't worry about that. So this length is something which will specify whether your year is going to have 2 digits or 4 digits. Okay, so you can try it with both 8 dot or 10 dot. Execute it.
I think I'm getting an error message.
What is it?
I'm trying it to run again now.
Just go through your error once. Anyways, let me just click on run.
When I check this error on log summary,
Mm-hmm.
when it is saying statement is not valid or it is used out of proper order.
Okay, so where have you, can you just share your screen? I will just make you the presenter.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, yeah, I'm just sharing it. 1 second. Oh, okay. Looks like there's some problem.
Now?
Not yet.
Okay, so shall I say request presenter role is it?
I have, okay. Look like I've lost my server connection.
Okay, yeah. To deny when it is saying reconnect.
Okay, let me, yeah. Allow share. Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay, so this is where
No, I
That's
still can.
code one. So
Sorry, it's become blank.
not yet.
No, okay, it's just blank. Oh yeah, now I can see it. It's just loaded. Okay. Yes, there is an error here. Okay, it's just a very simple, a very simple and a silly mistake that has happened here. Can you just roll your eyes through your code and see if there is some small mistake that you made, especially in the in format statement.
Your voice is coming very low.
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah,
Is it better now? Yeah.
yeah.
So I was saying that there's a very simple and a silly mistake that has happened here, especially in your just roll your eyes through your code, check your in format statement, that particular line, and see if there is some very small mistake that has happened.
The semicolon is gone, is it?
Exactly. So just put the semicolon. Yeah, now it should work. Okay, let me just save my project. I'll have to relaunch it.
Yeah, Uma, for me it's showing some different values for the date, not the ones which I have entered actually.
Okay. So, but the code is is executed successfully, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So, does it look something like what it is on Shashi's screen?
No, but I mean, he has put, I think, some different dates and everything.
Exactly, but something similar to this, right? Some numbers,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
random numbers, right? Yeah. So yes, that it means that your code is executed successfully. Anyways, what has happened is now what we have done is we have processed a non-standard data for in a certain fashion in which SAS can read and interpret it. Okay, so in spite of having some special characters into a numeric value, we have told that okay, this is a date format and you have to read it in a certain way, and SAS has comprehended that, executed it successfully, and given us a result. All right. So, but now the result that we have is we are not able to understand what it is. Right? We will be able to understand it only if it is in a proper date format with a date, a month, a year, and so on. Correct.
Yep.
So now we'll have to change it into a format that a user understands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is one part, and the other part as to how did these dates come from, right? So there is a default date that with which SAS considers as the base date, and that is Jan 1st, 1960. Okay, so from Jan 1st, 1960, it takes as the date value as 1, and then it just goes on incrementing the date value. So whatever date you have entered, it is these many number of days or whatever from Jan 1st, 1960. So obviously these values are of no use to us. We are not going to go and recalculate or back calculate as to figure out how what exactly is the date here. Correct? We would want to have it in a certain. Sorry?
Yeah. Sorry, Uma. Yeah. Why this like from 1960 only?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is around the time when SAS was created. So by default, it is Jan 1st, 1960.
Okay.
That is called as a date cutoff. Right? The default date
So
cutoff
I thought,
value.
yeah. Say if I was talking, say pre 1960, say stipulated one
Exactly.
period, it
Uh-huh.
would come up with some negative dates or sorry, negative numbers.
No, you will have to make some changes. You will have to change your cutoff date value. So there is a code to do that. You will have to say, okay, this is not my year cutoff. My year cutoff value has to be something else. So there is a small piece of code with which you can work around. Okay, yeah, and then yeah, so here we have this value wherein the SAS is computed based on the year cutoff value of Jan 1st 1960 and computed this number, but we are not able to use this, correct? So we'll have to go back to a program and do some write some code which will help us comprehend and read it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, so can I just take back the control? But before that, I'll have to launch EG on my system. For whatever reason, it just lost connectivity with the server. Okay, so well, Shashi, continue having the control. I will just share a piece of code. I'll ask you what to do. You can just make the changes in your code because my SAS, I've just launched it. It is going to take a couple of minutes to get started, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So what you do is take your mouse pointer on the line where you have written your in format statement and press enter. After semicolon, press enter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here you write a format statement. So in format was used to help SAS read a non-standard data, right? Now we use format to format any value into a user readable format, readable format, wherein you want to express some value in a certain fashion, then you can do it. That is where you use format. So write format and then the variable. On which variable do we want to format? A DOJ variable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the type of format. So the type of format is again going to be the same. We want to view it in the form of DDMMYY 10 dot space, yeah, YY 10 dot 10 dot. You have to specify the length. Yeah, yeah. Or you can make it 8 dot also. Now, in spite of reading it in the full year value, it will give the result will be displayed in the form of year value with only 2 digits. Yeah, so this is the syntax uh, to format your data, which is a date value, in a user readable format. Okay, so now select the data, select the code again, and then run it.
Yeah, now it's giving.
Yeah, now it's giving you, now it's in a user readable format, right? Let me just check if, okay.
Mm. So why is it like only when we are writing, writing back the variable, I should be using format?
Not only then, it's certain other instances also. Sometimes, let's say you have some value like let's say, okay, going into the same context, let's say you have one more variable which is fees, course fees, right? So there you have value like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and so on and so forth. So in case you want to see it as a currency value, like with a dollar and a comma separator for after thousands, hundreds, and millions or whatever, then you can use different formats for that also. So there are a list of formats and informats which we'll be sharing with you. You can check it out.
Okay.
Uma,
Now, why I'm
like,
asking is because this positioning of this statement, what you're
Oh,
saying.
okay, you're talking about the positioning of the statement, is it?
Yeah, see, one
Yeah,
time
in
I'm
in
saying you read it as DDMMYY, ten dot,
uh-huh.
and then again, I'm saying say D, code it, and now
Mm-hmm.
put it this way, and thereafter, I'm just keying in my data. So
Ha,
is it
ha.
like SAS is retracing the same path, and or should I be using this format statement somewhere after my declaration, or how
No,
should I
no,
use
you
it?
will have not see, you can use it in cases wherein informat is not required. You can directly use it after your input statement, but the order has to be the same. You will have to use your informat first, use your input wherein you declare your variables, then use the informat, then use a format, data lines, and so on.
Okay.
Okay, but in case let's say it's not a date value, it is some other just numeric value, and we want a comma separator, so there is a format called as comma 8 dot 10 dot whatever. So in that case you don't have a in format, you directly have to, you just using format. So after input you can use a format.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, yes, Arpita, you are saying something.
Yeah, Uma, I was just asking that like for informat we use 10 dot and then for format. So like we are telling SAS to take 10 values but to display
Hmm.
only 8 values like that.
Yeah, yeah, so we're just specifying the length. So you can, even in your format you can give 10 dot, it will not give you an error. Correct,
Yeah,
it will display the entire thing,
yeah,
but
yeah.
in based on the way our data is given right now, we cannot give a 8 dot in a in format. Is that part clear?
I think Arpita is asking like if I reverse this thing, what you see on my screen now, say if I make it in format 8 dot and while displaying in format statement, if I put 10 dot, will it work?
Yeah, exactly, that is what I'm trying to explain, that uh, let me just explain the second part of the question first, that is format. In your format, if you put it as 8 dot or 10 dot, both of it will work. Okay, okay, even if you put 10 dot, it will work. In your in format you cannot put it as 8 dot because the length that you are inputting here is 10 dot.
Yeah.
It will not be
Okay.
able to read the entire thing properly.
Okay.
Okay,
So what is the length? We have to just specify the whole length,
just
but
specify that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But output like it's on us like whatever we want to show.
correct, correct, correct. Okay,
Okay.
okay, let me just check my code. Yeah, I'll just take back the control. Okay, good, it has been saved. Let me just share my screen. All right. Okay, so what we did here is we said format the variable which is doj mmyy 10 dot. So
Yeah, we can see the
and
screen now.
okay, great. So I just wrote in this piece of code which that is a format syntax. So uh, displays data in a user predictable format. Yeah. So that is about format and in format. Okay. So going ahead. So there's one question which Shashi was asking, that there was a value when we entered a date value earlier, it just took in, it truncated the value. It didn't take the entire 10/02/2015, right? It just took 10/02/20, right? So we will address that question now. Let's say let's just create a variable called city. So city is going to be character numeric. It is going to be a character. So I'm just going to add in some values for city. Let me just put it as Melbourne, Chennai, Mumbai, Chandigarh. Okay, so I've just put in some values here. All right, and I've declared this as a character value, and let me just run it. Okay, so you can do a similar thing. First of all, declare the variable in your input statement. Okay, and then with just one single space, put in the values for different cities. Okay, select this and run it. Okay, so the reason that happened, Shashi, was because when you're creating a data set, when you're freshly assigning values to a character variable, it goes by its default length. Default length of the variable value that it can take. So a character variable by default can take only 8 characters. Okay, so when you import, you will not have this problem, because it will when as it is built in an import procedure as to how to deal with values when you're importing. So it will import the entire value, it will assign its own length accordingly. But when you're creating a variable like this, the way we are doing it now, by default it will take only 8 characters. So if you wanted to read characters more than that, then you will have to specify or use a length statement. Okay, can you just run this code and see what the result is like? Yeah, so Melbourne would not have an E, and Chennai and Mumbai would be perfectly fine because they are less than 8 characters. The rest of them would get truncated after 8 characters. Right, so one way of doing this, okay, my code is still running. So one way of doing this is specifying the length of the variable, either at the location where you are declaring the variable, or by using a length statement. Okay, so okay, my code is still running, I believe. Okay, so I will just ask you to do that. What you can do is just use a length statement. So that is, okay, let me just cancel this because I don't want to waste my time running it again. Okay, so what I want to do is, before my input statement, I'm going to specify the length. So yes, this the positioning of the statements will have to be in this order. Don't worry much, because you are not going to be using code like this when you're entering data. This is just to get a hang of different options that are there in SAS, like in format, length, and how what is the default variable length that it can take. To understand concepts like this, we are using this code. Okay, but yes, your length will come before your input. Length city variable. What's the length of it? Let's say whatever, 12 dot. Yes, again here it has to end with a dot. You can actually write 12 also, but yeah. So you can just execute this code. So when you do that, your city values will be read completely. Okay. Let me know once you've executed it.
Yeah, but city is coming like in front of student ID and
Exactly, that is what I want to tell you. That what happens is, because you're using a length statement, and length statement, if for it to execute properly, you'll have to use it before your input. Since it's encountering this variable first, it puts that before your ID. So your data set would look like city, ID, name, course, and date of joining. Correct? So you don't want that to happen. Then you use a retain statement. What a retain statement does is it retains the order in which your variables are displayed or written in your data set. So retain has to come before your length statement, right? So student ID, student name, course DOJ, and please make a note, in my retain statement I am not specifying the data type. Can you see that here? I'm just specifying the variable names. So what my retain statement is going to do is just going to retain the order in which my variables are going to be displayed. So retain statement has got a lot of other uses also. It is one of the very important statements which we'll be seeing as we go ahead in through our sessions. Yeah, so one of the things that it does is it retains the order in which the variables are being arranged in your data set. So here you do not use the data type.
and it is like not case sensitive because the variable name here is like you have put s in small for city
Yeah,
and here
yeah, it is not. It is not. Oops, sorry. So once you have written your length and retain, just select the entire thing and execute it. My SAS here is gone so slow. Okay.
Yeah, now we can see it, the same order.
Yeah, so now it's in the same order, and your city variable has got all the characters of it because the length has been redefined, and your system is able to read the date values properly, and it is also displaying it in the desired format.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
before we go forward, let me ask this. The city variable, now we said, use, say 12,
yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
characters. So
Hmm.
does that mean that it is adding up some additional spaces if
Yes, it
the
is.
length is short,
Yes, it
or it
is.
will
It
just
is.
truncate, say, uh, getting me?
No, there are trailing white spaces.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, yeah, that's the right question. There are trailing white spaces here, and we will see how to work on that. There is some other format which will not do that. Which will just take whatever is the length. It will just take that specific length for each of those values.
Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. Yes. Any other questions here so far?
Mm, no.
Okay, great. So this was a simple code wherein we created a dataset in a work library called student underscore details. Okay, and then we created a few variables and a few observations, and we saw how we can what are the data types, numeric and character, and how to deal with reading non-standard data. When I mean non-standard data in SAS is a data which is a combination of character and numeric, and wherein you don't want to read it as character. So like date value, how do we read that? How do we process such data in SAS? And how do we work around changing the length of different variables? Correct. So that is what we have seen so far with the help of our simple data lines code through which we created a simple data set. Clear? So in case uh, so we have seen in our earlier session, if you want to take a print view of this data set that you have created, so you have to say proc print data uh, equals the dataset name student underscore details, and then say run. Okay, so once you execute this code, you'll get a print view of the dataset that you have created, that is student underscore details. Okay, and before we continue with the next topic, I want you to do a couple of we would like to explain one more important thing before we move on. I want you to just the code that you have right now, right? What you can do is you can just copy it, create a copy of this code, don't make any changes, but I want you to change the name of the data set to student info. Yeah, can you please do this change the way I've done on my the way you can see it on my screen? Make it as student info and write student info the way I have written, and execute this code, please.
So you want us to change it as student
Info.
underscore
STUD
space info.
space info. Yeah.
Okay, and execute the entire code or just
Yeah. Just select the entire piece of code and execute it.
so I'm selecting all till proc print and
No, you don't have to do that. You can let your proc print be just the data step from your data students space info to run.
Oh, just the
yep.
data step.
Yeah, just the data step. We're just changing the dataset name. We're not doing anything else here.
Hmm.
Wait for a second. Let me just connect up my charger. Let me know what is the result you get once you do it.
Well, it does give the output.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I can see the same output.
yeah, okay, I'll make up the presenter. I'm making you the presenter. If you can just accept it.
It's not prompting me. Let me request,
Oh, okay.
I've just put up a request.
Yeah, I've just loved it. Yeah. Go up. Show me the change that you've made.
Hello.
Hello, yes. So refresh your work library.
Just hold on a second. Hello.
Yeah. So refresh your work library.
So we are showing errors now actually.
What is the error, Arpita? Can you read it out for me?
Yeah, it's saying statement is not valid or it is not proper.
Yeah. So here also, if you note, Arpita, if you're just if you're looking at the screen here, Shashi's screen, Shashi has created a data set by name student and info. There's a space, basically student info, but there's a space in between, right? You haven't got any errors, but it is executed successfully. But the data set does not read as student info, it just reads as student. Yeah, so what happens is typically because we are doing it on SAS EG, it is not thrown up an error. It is just read the first part and ignored the remaining part. Okay, so you don't have it as student info, you just have it as student. It is just let go of the other value, the remaining part of the value of your data set that is there. Or rather, it is just created two different data sets, right? Student and info. Both of them are having this.
Same thing across, like.
Yeah, it is basically created two different data sets which has got the same set of values.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what happens when you give a space.
Okay.
They're different data sets that are being created in the by the same set of values. So Arpita, okay, so now Shashi, what you can do is go to your program and in the same thing, in the same code, use a hyphen in between. Student hyphen info. Just put a dash there and remove the space. Okay, now just execute this code. In the meantime, I'll just request Arpita to be the presenter so that I can see her screen. Yes, Arpita, you're the presenter now. Go to your code, please.
I think I've just executed this line, so that's why it's giving.
Yeah, so you just execute till run. From data, select till run.
Yeah, did another this.
Yeah, so it is basically what it does is it just creates two different data sets, student info. So with us, when you give a space, then it thinks that there's one more data set to be created in the name that is given after the space, and the same values are in both of them. So put a hyphen and try and execute it now. Shashi,
Yep.
have you executed it?
Well, it's running.
Okay, no problem. So, Arpita, take us to your log, please.
Sorry.
Uh-huh. So, what does the error say?
expecting one of the following, a name dot a quoted string.
Okay, and then
The symbol is not recognized, basically.
and will be ignored. Yeah, so what happens is, the reason I just we just did this simple exercise now is there are certain rules when it goes to giving a dataset name. Okay, or for that matter even a variable name, the rules are the same. So what are those rules? Is rules while naming a SAS dataset or variable. Okay, so there's some rules here. First of all, it can dataset name, dataset or variable name can be a combination of numeric and character values. Okay, but cannot begin with a numeric value. So what is meant by this? Oops, I didn't turn it on, I believe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what is meant by this line that I've written? So I can have a dataset name which looks like student info 1, correct? But I cannot have it as one student info. I can have it as S12 also, but I cannot begin a data set name or a variable name with a numeric value. Okay. No special characters except for underscore. Yeah, you can only use underscore and no other special character in any of your variable or dataset names. Length can be, excuse me, up to 32 characters only. The length of a variable name or a dataset name cannot be more than that. Is that okay? So these are the rules to be kept in mind while you're naming your dataset or a variable. So even here I can have it as city. I can have it as city 101, my variable name, but I can't have it as 101 city. Okay, so those are certain things to be kept in mind while you're naming a sorry?
So can a dataset and the variable names be same?
Yeah, no problem there. But you can't have the same variable name going on repeating, right? You can't have like student ID, and student ID. Yeah. But yes, you can have a dataset name and a variable name. One of them the same. Okay. So this is understanding certain basics about how do we work on a dataset, and we've used a simple proc print to take a print view of the dataset that we have created. Now let us see how do I quickly create copy of a dataset. Okay. So I think we did we do this in our earlier session? No. Great. Yeah. So how do I create a copy of a data set? So the way we can do it is there is something called as a proc copy. There is a procedure also to copy multiple data sets, right? And the one which we are going to see now is a data step, wherein we'll be creating copy of a single data set only. Okay, and further to this, when we want to make some manipulations on a data set, this is the code we'll be using with some other additional SAS statements based on the whatever manipulation we want to do on our SAS data set. Okay. Okay, how do we do that is a simple thing. It is called, we do that using a data and a set statement. Data and set statement, and the syntax for it goes like this: data destination file, yeah, and then set source file. So with your data statement you always specify the destination path, and with set you always specify the source path, and run. Yeah. So now let's just quickly create a copy of the dataset that we have created just some time back. Data. So destination, I want to create again it. I want to save it in work only, so I don't have to specify work dot something. I will just specify copy underscore student. Okay, this is my destination file. So it's a new file that I want to create, which is nothing but a copy of my existing file. And then I say set. Set is always a source. So my source is in work again, so I don't have to specify it. And it is student, what was that? Student underscore details, right? Yeah. Student underscore details, run. Yeah. So execute this code. And just check the result. Let me just execute this. I have not executed this code, so I'm just doing that. Let me know once you're done with it. Yeah, so what it does is just creates a copy of student underscore details in a work library, which will be called as copy underscore students. Yeah, so this is how we create a copy of a data set. So can I ask you to do just write a code for a couple of things. That is, okay, my program is running. Let me just wait for it to complete. Yes, yes, I'm here. I'm just waiting for my result. So, Shashi, it's done. Have you created a copy?
Well, it's running now.
Oh, okay. So, the easier way to remember the syntax is always data destination and set source. So, D goes with destination, set goes with source. So, you cannot interchange the positions of the source and data destination files. Okay, so this is also taking some time for me at my end.
So this is creating two different data sets. I mean, it's not showing any.
Yeah, it'll not pop anything on your screen, but just that in your library you would have one more data set created, which is the copy of the source data set. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just give you a couple of simple exercises to do right away. It's just like 2-line codes that you have to write. I will just put that up. Okay, I'll just put up in my program and only, since my code is almost completed executing. Yeah, so this is here. Let me just go back. A couple of questions for you is, first of all, quickly just write the codes for these questions here, and that is create a copy. Okay, let's just first print data set cars from SAS help library. Next is create a copy of dataset cars from SAS help into work library as cars underscore one. Yeah, can you quickly write codes for these? Yeah, so what you do is write codes for both the queries, and just copy paste the code onto my chat window before you execute it, because it takes quite a bit of time in the process of executing. Simple? Yeah, it is. So the first one, what procedure are you going? Procedure or a data step? Proc step or data step? Yeah, it's a proc step. Very simple. Proc print you're going to use. And the second one is you're just going to use the code that we tried out just now to create a copy of a data set. Yes.
But it is from SAS help, so like instead of we need to specify help dot help.
Correct. That is the crux.
That's because it is var
Yeah. So before you execute, just share the codes on my chat.
This is what I'm trying to do. I'm not sure whether it will work or not.
Proc print data equals SAS help dot cars and run. Okay, you just need to put a run statement after this. execute it separately. The first one looks fine. Second one, I think you'll have to just play around a little. You're almost there. Small mistake. Try executing this code, then you'll figure out what mistake it is, looking at the error. See, one more very important thing about SAS coding is also, deciphering the error messages. So the more errors you make, the better it is for you when you're learning.
Should it be SAS help or?
See, what you do is just refresh your server, refresh your libraries, open SAS help library and see there is a dataset called cars, and then just write a code for this. Yes, Alvida, if you just share your code, whatever it is, don't worry about it being right or wrong. I mean, please don't worry about it. Here, we are just here to help figure out the right thing. So, don't worry. Whatever you worked on, just paste that. It's okay.
Yeah, it's the same actually, but I'm not able to select the code.
Oh, okay, no problem. So, for the important thing, the reason we are working on this example is just to know that when we're working on permanent libraries, we'll have to always specify the library name and the dataset name. Correct? So, I hope you can see my screen. It would be Proc Print for the first one. Data equals, since we are wanting to print a data set that is there from in a permanent library called SAS help, we'll have to specify the the library name and then the dataset name. Okay, so this thing will give us the result, a print view of the dataset cars, which is there in SAS help. And next is creating a copy. So data is always destination. So what do we want a destination as? We want it in our work library and call it as cars1. So it is going to be cars_1, right? And set source. Where is the source? Our source is cars file, but it is not in work. It is in SAS help. So you will have to use the library name, then give cars. Otherwise, when you just give cars here, right, if I don't specify the library name, then it will give me an error saying cars dataset was not found in work library, because it is obviously not there. So you'll have to specify the library name and then the dataset name. Yeah. So this will create a copy of cars into your work library and save it as cars_1.
Yep.
Is this clear? Okay. So before we close the session, I will just leave you with a proc step. Okay, you can try it whenever convenient during the day and let me know what it does. Okay, I will just paste it on your windows also if you want, on your chat. Proc Contents data equals student underscore details run. I say Proc Contents data
So
equals this.
whatever we have done coding, it will like if the session is logged out, then it will not be there, right?
It'll not be there, so please save it. So keep using this, like, file, save project demo, control S basically. So, but whatever datasets we have created in a work library are not going to be there. So the student underscore details, info, student info, copy of students, all that is not going to be there. We'll have to rerun it. As long as we save a project, when you open this project and rerun the codes, yes, they're going to get created again. But your work library is going to be empty once you close the session. Proc Contents, SAS help, dot cars, varnum, run. Okay. So just make a note of these two codes. Please note them on your project, on your program window, and try and execute it at your convenience. And see if you can make some sense out of it. Otherwise, we will continue a session from here tomorrow discussing what Proc Contents does. Okay. Any doubts so far, Shashi, Arpita?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, well, I will. Let's just save this. I hope you have made a note of the Proc Contents procedure that I've written. Otherwise, I'm just pasting it on your chat, but you'll have to copy it right away because once we close this session, it will not be available for you. Make sure you're saving your project, please, so that you can just come back to the same project tomorrow and work on it from wherever we've left. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I hope whatever basic concepts of format, and creating data, copy of data sets, some basics are pretty much clear by now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
So have a good day and just drop me a mail or something in case you have any queries when you're trying to do any of these questions or practice. I think by tomorrow we'll be sharing a small exercise with you. So with whatever topics we cover tomorrow, so it'll be like just 2 to 3 questions which you will have to do at your convenient time. Okay.
Ma, so this session's recording, will it be available?
Yeah, so I'm just going to let me just stop recording now. Yeah, I think we'll just upload it on YouTube. If not today, like just in a couple of days it will be. So every day we are going to keep recording our sessions, and we will share a link to these to access these videos to both of you so that you can use it for your reference.
That's good.
Is that okay? All right. So let me just stop recording first.